and welcome.
Hello.
Everybody.
Bon venon.
My name is Vince Tato,
And my name is Shem Groby.
and you are tuning in to the social distance episode of Occam's Blazer.
Woot woot. CDC guidelines
So-
for the win.
That's right, social distancing for the boys.
Cracking open a cold one over Discord.
No, I haven't. I haven't cracked open a cold one in quite a while, actually.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Actually,
So how you doing with your social isolation over there?
getting by with a little help from my friends, as the Beatles once said. I'm mostly just,
Nice.
you wake up late, do some schoolwork if you need to, if I actually want to, skip it if I want to, and then just sort of listen to music and figure out what to do to occupy my time. So it's kind of fun at some point, but kind of not. I don't know.
Right.
Definitely appreciate hanging out with you over the web or other folks over the web.
Yeah, man. It's modern technology is fascinating.
Heck yeah.
For sure. It's pretty crazy how we can just all of a sudden be in instant communication with one another
Yes.
at any time,
At any moment.
anywhere. Basically at any moment.
Yeah. I mean, you can sit, like, I remember I was listening to music in my room, reading a little book, and then I heard, music was playing out of my Bluetooth speaker, and I heard this weird, like, do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. I was like, I do not recognize that part in this song. And I was like, oh, it's the Discord sound. I was like, oh, Sam is calling me. And then I just ignored it because I was like, I want to read this book. Sorry.
Oh, heck.
But then obviously, I was like, let me just finish this chapter, and then I got in contact with you.
What were you reading?
I was reading a book called The Lost Art of Reading Nature's Signs. It's about natural life and natural things like lichen and plants and trees and rocks, and how they essentially tell a story, because each plant has a certain set of conditions that it lives in, or a certain like life history or animals or whatever. And if you learn to sort of see it, then you can be like, oh, this obviously was where deer were going, so this leads towards a stream, or like this is like a rock that has moss on it and it's facing towards the north, so I should go this way, or just interesting things like that.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool.
I should start doing more reading. The beginning of the semester, I was reading this book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Oh yeah.
It was interesting. I heard it got a little weird.
What do you mean?
I only read the first chapter. I think it got from what I heard, it got weird and a spiritual, ritualistic things to do.
What?
I'm not quite sure.
Spiritual thing. So it sounded like a business book to me, like how to be a good businessman.
Right. I think it was written by some kind of CEO.
Right. Like a
I'm not
Elon Musky type.
Not sure. I don't know what he did. But
maybe he was a really unsuccessful person. He was like, you know what? I'm gonna write a book about how to be successful, and then he became successful.
Maybe I think he was a school teacher, and then some school implemented his teachings. Then the school was destroyed, or something bad happened. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. We can maybe talk about that on the next.
Okay. Anyways, but yeah, folks, we're sort of chatting about our own coronavirus-y routines, but if for some reason you're listening to this and you're interested and you keep listening to this and you want to leave a comment, then please do, telling us about what you do to handle your emotions and stress and just general life during the semi-apocalypse.
Indeed. Shall we, speaking of apocalypse, shall we get into our topic?
I suppose so, although I didn't know we were going to talk about the apocalypse. I thought, all right, whatever. I'll just play our
you'll see
our song here. Secret of a happy marriage. Maybe you should write this down. You want to keep
Wait,
love
I thought you were playing the other song.
The best way is to end it.
Well,
Well,
this episode of Occam's Blazer
peace.
is about some of my favorite things, conspiracy theories. I am big into conspiracy theories, especially when there's nothing to do, such as we observed in this day and age.
Yes.
So, the way this episode is working is I picked out a conspiracy theory, and Shem Groby, you picked out a conspiracy theory.
Somewhat.
I don't know what you picked out. I think you know what I picked out because I told you accidentally.
I forgot.
Do you? Okay, that's good. You forgot it. So, maybe we can add some ambient spooky music to the back of this. My conspiracy
I'll do it
theory,
in post.
sweet, is about the Denver International Airport.
The Denver Broncos.
Well, I mean, that's where the Denver Broncos are from, is Denver.
Okay.
I don't think they're from the airport.
Okay, so what about the airport?
This airport is the home of some pretty wild conspiracy theories, and I compiled a little fact sheet of just a few.
Are you sure they're facts?
So,
Vince?
oh yes, I'm sure. You said you didn't want to go anything crazy. You said you liked conspiracy facts.
I
not
do like
conspiracy
conspiracy fact.
theories. So this is as close as you're going to get from me on a conspiracy fact.
Awesome.
So, this airport was built by the New World Order.
What's the New World Order?
The New World Order is supposedly a group of elite politicians and wealthy, powerful individuals who seek to eventually establish a globalist government. Now, we know this, that it was built by the New World Order, because there is a dedication stone in the airport from, get ready for it, the New World Airport Commission. However, since you asked what the heck is the New World Airport Commission, surprise, that doesn't even exist. There is no such thing as the New World Airport Commission. There's a huge dedication stone with a Freemason symbol on it from this commission. It never existed in the first place.
Where's this?
Now,
This is in Denver, Colorado.
Yes, Denver, Colorado.
And this place is, and this thing is called the New World Airport Commission.
Correct. Now, there are many Illuminati and Freemason symbols all over this airport, leading some people to believe that it is the headquarters for these secretive groups. Now, the Freemasons, they are one of the oldest secret groups. The founding fathers were in this group. Most notably, I think George Washington, Thomas Jefferson might have been Freemasons. No one knows what they actually do.
Probably just having giant, Freemason orgies or something.
Maybe. But, who is part of the Illuminati? I'm glad you asked. Celebrities like Jay-Z and Beyonce, they're Illuminati members.
According to whom?
Now there's... according to everybody, man.
Who is everybody?
They're always doing their, Illuminati symbols, and they're always, Beyonce's in her songs, references starting armies and Illuminati stuff.
What? Full stop
man.
here. Jay-Z and Beyonce part of the Illuminati? I don't believe that.
Yes, they are. But
Have they
that's not what this is about.
Have they said that?
No, if you're in the Illuminati, you're not going to come out and say it. Okay, so okay. Since you asked,
yes.
That time Kanye West came on stage and said Taylor Swift was like, "Hey Taylor,
Yes.
I'm better than you," or no, he said Beyonce wrote the best album of all time, not you.
Right.
That was actually an Illuminati initiation that Taylor Swift was required to go through. That's what that was about. It had nothing to do with Beyonce's album. So
okay.
Getting back to this.
All right, I'm just gonna take all this on faith.
In the airport, there is a time capsule for the people of 2094, and it is surrounded by a Freemason symbol, and atop that is a gargoyle guarding it. So that in and of itself was pretty creepy. Now, this airport is sitting on some big secrets, if you know what I mean, quite literally.
Okay.
To start, the construction was highly delayed, and the budget exceeded anywhere between $2 to $3 billion.
Okay.
Why, you ask? Thanks for asking. There are secret underground tunnels which house 3 possible things. Number 1, an apocalypse bunker for the New World Order people, celebrities, and politicians. 2, a FEMA concentration camp. And 3, it is hiding alien lizard people who write graffiti all over the walls.
Sounds legit.
Now, the workers who worked in building the airport, they described that they had to dig 5 stories down to build a network of bunkers, trainways, and the secret tunnels that nobody knows where they go.
Okay.
So that in
Are
and
they
of
worse
itself.
than the tunnels at U Albany?
Well, there's trains in them, so I would imagine maybe they are worse. And there's like aliens down there, so yeah, definitely worse.
Okay.
Now, if that is not enough for you, let's talk about the artwork in this airport. First of all, who the hell puts giant pieces of art in airports? Like, no one's looking at that. Everyone's trying to get to their flight. They don't need to be distracted by huge statues and creepy murals.
Okay.
Now that that's out of the way, there is a humongous blue horse statue that is like rearing up on its hind legs with these burning red eyes.
Interesting.
And it has been affectionately named Blucifer. People believe that the horse signifies one of the riders of the apocalypse, death.
Oh, so
Ironically, this horse has taken a life before. It killed its own sculptor by falling down and pinning him to a beam, and then it like cut one of the man's arteries, and he bled out.
What?
Yeah, man, this is a one mean horsey.
I don't know, man.
Dude, if you just look up the picture of Blucifer, it is horrifying. It has like these shining red eyes, and it's all veiny, and it's just evil. Like, why would you put that outside an airport? Now,
Where
do you see it?
Where is this airport? Let me just look this up. It's called
Denver International Airport.
Denver International Airport.
Now, just to give you a sense of what the New World Order people are up to.
Yeah, what are they up to?
Let's look at an aerial view real quick, and you tell me what it looks like. You see that? That is a swastika right there, my good sir.
No, it's
Look
not.
at that. It is a swastika.
That's not a swastika.
Yes, it is. See, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I actually just did a little school assignment about swastikas.
See? A swastika.
And in reality, the symbol of a swastika, or I just like to call it a hooked cross, it's so vague and so simple, but also so beautiful that it basically every culture around the globe has made swastika symbols for thousands of years. So there's no
Really?
Yeah, because it's just like it's a fun thing to do. You find them in Greek vases, you find them in Navajo textiles, you find them in Ukrainian pottery, you name it. You name the culture, they've made a swastika because it's literally just a cross with some.
It was adopted by the Nazis as their symbol, same as their salute. That Americans used to do the Nazi salute.
Sure, yeah.
Towards the flag.
Exactly.
It was just adopted by the Nazis as their preferred evil salute.
So I call BS on this swastika airport thing, but the rest of it is interesting.
Okay. However, I'm not done yet with the swastika and the Nazis. Let's talk about these 4 murals in the airport. So, I already talked about the horse. Okay, the first mural called Peace and Harmony with Nature. Again, let me just say, I don't know which order you're supposed to view the murals. Depending on which mural you view first, second, third, and fourth, you will get a different story.
Okay.
So I think that's really cool. So the article I read, it went in this order. So it looked at Peace, Harmony, and Nature. It's a mural. It features a fiery scene in the background. There's massive tree trunks burning brightly and smoke all over the place. There's children and a young woman are fleeing the flames, and they are carrying these extinct animals in glass cases. And I think above that, they're like walking over like this dead cheetah who is above the grave of a dead Indian woman, and there's like a whale burning up, and there's these bones in the forefront, and there's a buffalo wearing a collar.
What?
So that, I think that signifies they're fleeing some sort of disaster. And now the second mural is called I don't know what it's called. Oh, the second half of the painting. I don't think this author included the name of it. It's a celebratory type of mural. Happy children from the various painting. There's the extinct creatures which are now alive, and they're coming together in this joyful celebration. The animals are young and alive. The background is happy seeming. The whales are in the ocean, and they are jumping up and down. There's multicultural aspect of the painting. There's a guy in a traditional Scottish outfit. There's a woman in a sari.
Mm-hmm.
There's all sorts of stuff, and I think there's a rainbow over there, and they're coming together over this like flower or blossom. So something good obviously happened.
Nice.
Now, the second set of paintings is what really captures my attention. The set is called Children of the World Dream of Peace. It features, the first painting is crazy. The background is a city that is in decay, and the central character that's in the middle is a Nazi soldier wearing a gas mask, holding a giant rifle, and he's stabbing a dove. Wow. And he's like kind of like this ghost figure that's like flying through the air, and below him is a child sleeping, and like towards the left is a ghostly like dead woman crying, holding a baby.
Oh my gosh.
And then the final painting is again people of diverse cultures celebrating over the corpse of the soldier. The soldier is dead. His face is a skull. And there's these two sets of children holding bundles of what appears to be the Nazi soldiers' swords. One of the bundles is wrapped in the American flag, and the other bundle is wrapped in the Israeli flag. So I think the order is first the New World Order taking over, the Nazi soldier stabbing the dove, the fire, the people running, and then after the New World Order takes over, then there's the peace and harmony restored. But again, this is up for interpretation. So all this to say that the Denver airport is the home of the Illuminati and the New World Order, and they're coming to take over, and they've left clues and signs, and they have even like the Denver airport itself has fueled the flame of the theories, and they've like supported it. They haven't like ever come out and say this is false. They've only caused more suspicion and question over the whole thing.
Probably better for revenue if they get people to visit the airport.
Possibly. But listeners, I encourage you to go and look at these paintings. I think they're super cool and fascinating. I think conspiracy theories are really wild. And yeah, this is some crazy stuff. Go check it out.
Now, in a very fitting move for this podcast, I'd like to sort of Occam's blazer this Denver thing.
All right. I was hoping you'd say that.
You know, sure, there's a possibility that there's a whole organization or two organizations that we have no idea what they do, but it's nefarious, and maybe they're trying to take over the world, but we're not really sure how, and they left all these clues so that maybe we would find out, but why would they want us to find out? But maybe they kind of want us to find out, and maybe they're fanning the flames. There's all these complex possibilities, but I think the simplest answer is just somebody, when they were designing an airport, they're like, hey, let's get the help of some artists and some creative souls and some people who have some creative, weird ideas like building a statue or a mural, because, maybe they sold it as like, hey, not very many airports are interesting to look at, so why don't we commission some interesting stuff? And now, and that's good for business, and it's proved true because not only do people like to look at it, but some people like to make theories about it. And the reason the company isn't sort of denying any of these sort of crazy claims is because, it's good for business. It's fun for people to think about an airport as a destination or something fun to visit. But that's just my take. Sorry to rain on your parade.
No, I think this is all completely true, and the globalists are trying to take over.
You sound like
now,
Alex
I know
Jones.
I sound like Alex Jones. I know I sound like Alex Jones. No, the frogs aren't gay, but this is some compelling stuff.
I hope.
Again, I know. Let's use Occam's blazer here. Let's adorn ourselves with Occam's blazer.
Yep.
People are bored, and they just want something to be true.
Yes.
They want the truth to be more.
We don't
exciting
even know what the
than
New World
it
Order
actually is.
How can we say that we know that the New World Order is behind this if we don't know who they are?
I think the New World Order is the Bush family and the Clintons.
That you think so?
Yes.
Trump did go to Hillary and Bill Clinton's wedding.
Yes, it was wonderful, huge, a beautiful thing, lovely couple.
But that doesn't mean
they'll be together forever.
That doesn't mean that they're part of the New World Order.
I think it means everything, dude. Come on, don't keep your head in the sand.
I'd like to keep my ears clear of sand, please.
I hate sand. It's coarse
and it gets
rough.
everywhere.
It gets everywhere.
Not like you. You're smooth.
So smooth, wonderful, a beautiful thing. I love it. It's the greatest thing ever. Working on it.
That is a
profusely.
Fascinating conspiracy theory, my friend. I'll have to look into that more.
Yes. So all that, I don't know what just happened, but let's look into that more. Let's hear your thoughts, you beautiful listeners, if you even exist at all.
Maybe just one person.
So, yeah, I think it might be my mother, but you'll never know.
Yeah.
So, Shem Groby, what is your conspiracy theory, which I do not know?
Well, mine is really, I'd say it's less of a conspiracy theory, actually. It's a very simple one. The idea is that, well, I'll start off with this. Some of the things that we take for granted, like customs, like, hey, we shake hands, right? We take for granted, but somebody had to invent it, right? Somehow it had to come about somehow.
Right.
Or some of the things like, I don't know, giving engagement rings, or just little things like that, right? They weren't always there, and someone had to invent it. And if someone had to invent it, that means that for any sort of custom, it could have possibly been invented to further the interests of a government entity, a corporate entity, or some other entity. So, like, I think of smoking campaigns where they tried to make it cool for women to smoke because it was like, women's liberation, right? Any sort of custom like that.
Oh, so you're saying like industries are marketing in a certain way
so
to
that's just the start.
Bend the public will to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll preface with that, but my main conspiracy theory is this: what if Throwback Thursday on social media was invented by the NSA to collect photos of us?
Dude, I love that.
Yeah. So I read that and I was like, okay, I got to use that for something. Essentially, the NSA, we found out that the NSA was collecting all this data around 2011, 2012. That was from Edward Snowden. I'm sure you're familiar with Mr. Eddie.
Yes. Very much so.
Love him. Gotta love him. Gotta hate him, but you gotta love him.
I respect him.
Yeah. And he basically, he just sort of let loose the floodgates. And before that, nobody had any idea that the NSA was essentially trying to get this huge like Rolodex full of every citizen and like who they are, what they do, and all this stuff. And supposedly Throwback Thursday, and I'm just kind of going off of some little very, very shallow internet research, but on websites like where is it? Where'd it go? Oh yeah. Like Web Trends, or where is it? I lost it, but I'm too lazy to go and find it before going away from my microphones. Supposedly, Throwback Thursday started around 2011, 2012.
Really? I feel like it would have started on like radio stations.
No, the specific, like the phrase, Throwback Thursday, and you post a photo, started around, some of the first usages were in 2011, 2012. And that was supposedly some like right about around the time that the NSA started to collect all this data. And once again, that's the conspiracy theory part of it, as in the part where I'm sort of like, I haven't really researched that, so that's kind of more of just a little wild stab, and it's obviously just a correlation. But here's the idea. The NSA, they think that if they get all this information on you beforehand, before you do something bad, then they can sort of like watch you, and if you start to do something, you start to edge out into somewhere, they can already have this stuff on you, and they can grab you, or they can locate you, lol, that sort of thing. But
Lamau.
So what's the point of introducing Throwback Thursday? Let's say the NSA is like, I I wonder what this person looks like if they were younger, right? Some of the best, Vince is actually thinking about going into sort of criminology, sort of policy-ish sort of thing. One of the most useful things is like when you can advance someone's age, like, and you can use that software. It's like, oh, what would they look like when they were older? What if like Throwback Thursday was part of a thing to get all this data so that you could sort of like you feed them into a program to help computers figure out how people grew. So like if you had a Throwback Thursday of like, oh, this is me like 2 years ago, and then the NSA collects that, put that into a computer, and they're like, okay, now we just reverse the process. Now our computer AI learns what it was like when their face goes backwards. Now we just sort of try to advance it. I don't know. It's kind of a little crazy, but
yeah. Well, I don't know how it was in like 2011, 2012, but I know now like the FBI has technology that can age regress photos of people.
Wow.
So I know that's very sophisticated technology.
Yeah.
Even like we have it on our Snapchat. Like we can, remember when it was like the filters that could make you a man or a woman or a baby.
Yeah.
So it's like that, but like extremely sophisticated.
Very sophisticated.
I know they have that now. 10 years ago, I doubt it was as sophisticated. So that might be a plausible argument that they introduced Throwback Thursday to capture images of people's faces.
Yeah.
And make projections of how they will age.
Yeah, so
that is interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know how legit it would be, because it's like people already like to post about themselves on social media and already like to post photos. So in one sense, you could say all the NSA really needs is just a photo of each person. And if you're on social media, you're probably already going to post a photo of yourself. You don't really need to introduce a whole new sort of trend to get that. But on the other hand, you could say, yeah, the NSA was thinking, okay, what's a way to encourage they were looking at the recent trends in social media, because Facebook was invented around the early 2000s, and it really started to kick off around the beginning of the teens, right? The 2010, 2011. And they saw that and they were like, oh my gosh, this could really help us. And I think I have, and that's supported by the documentation, really. I actually just pulled up a New York Times article about that, referencing some of the leaks from Snowden, and it says the agency intercepts, this NSA intercepts millions of images per day, including about 55,000 facial recognition quality images, which translate into, quote, tremendous untapped potential, according to 2011 documents obtained from the former agency contractor Edward Snowden. Now, while once focused on written and oral communications, NSA now considers facial images, fingerprints, and other identifiers just as important to its mission of tracking suspected terrorists and other intelligence targets, the documents show. So there you go.
Okay.
They like photos.
Mind if I Occam's blazer this?
Okay, yeah.
So, I would be incredibly surprised if I found out the government was not spying on us.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we know they're spying on us. The question is whether they introduced Throwback Thursday to try to get us to give them more photos of us in different, costumes and clothes and scenarios so that they can better analyze.
If you're just living your life like a normal, nice, law-abiding citizen,
yeah,
you have nothing to worry about.
I
I think okay.
All right. Well, we'll continue. What's your
Okay,
point?
Let's be logical, reasonable, maybe emotional about this.
Ew.
Everybody wants a big bad thing to point their finger at and say, you did a bad job, you failed,
Yeah.
you have nefarious, intentions. The police are pernicious, they're out to get you. Okay, yeah, there is truth in that.
Right.
At the heart of every stereotype, at the heart of every conspiracy theory, at the heart of whatever, there is a little bit of truth to it.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we resound so much with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, social media was invented for people, well, Facebook was invented for Mark Zuckerberg to spy on hot
Find
Harvard
girlfriends.
girls.
Yep.
Yeah. But now it's used to share about your life and, connect with friends, and there's good things, there's bad things about it. I don't know if we'll make a part 2 about our mental health social media, whatever. To Occam's blazer, this theory, I would say, if we take the government at face value, they are interested in protecting the health and welfare of its citizens and providing a good life to everybody that resides within the U.S. So what does that entail? That entails security. Now,
security in quotes.
Well, okay. This was a big debate towards the beginning of our society. How much liberty do we want to give up in exchange for security? Where does our freedom end and the government's right to protect us begin? Some people take to the extreme of government, don't you ever even look at me or my son ever again. And the other extreme of government, you can have your hands in my life at all times. The government monitoring social media and the internet is a way to protect against crime, terrorism, to anticipate crime. The government's not interested in your Facebook and your stupid kid and your stupid cat and what they do. No, they're not going to waste their time on your Facebook.
But what if they are?
The dark web. They're looking at 4chan. They're looking at Reddit.
But what if
the government doesn't care about what you looked like?
Here's the thing. Yes, you could trust the government. You can be like, well, they don't care. They only care about the bad stuff, and they know I'm a good person, right? But humans make mistakes, and government is no exception to that. Government, makes mistakes, and also governments can be corrupt. So the idea that they're only looking out for your good, and they have access to all this data is, I think, a little naive. There's the possibility that even though I'm doing good and I'm just playing with my cat, they either mistakenly think that I'm planning a terrorist attack and they, snipe me, or they know I'm not, but they see that I, post, anarchist memes or something, and they snipe me, right? I don't know, So I'm saying, the whole idea that, if you have nothing to hide, then, I'm about to die.
Well, we interrupt this episode of Occam's Blazer to bring you technical difficulties, always happening at an inconvenient time. I don't know where Shem Groby went. He has disappeared from his camera on Discord. I hope you can hear me. I hope you're okay. Hello? Aha.
Sorry.
You're back, baby. I gave the listeners a little news flash.
What was the news
Update.
flash?
It was about technical difficulties.
Oh, okay.
We might leave it in there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Who knows? Basically what happened was I plugged my computer laptop in, I plugged my laptop cable into a power strip that's down here in a little sort of mini musical studio we have. But the problem is the power strip is the one that powers on all our amps and keyboards and all that. And my dad turned it off before he went upstairs because he didn't want to leave the amps on.
Come on, Bill.
So,
Come on, Bill.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean.
Anyhow, so where were we?
So we were talking about government spying on you, and you were saying how, I don't care about you playing with your cat on social media.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we're sort of off the topic of the whole conspiracy theory because I'm not sure if I actually believe it that the government invented Throwback Thursday. It's certainly,
I mean, why not?
yeah. Well, it just seems like it would be Occam's blazering. It seems like it would be a simpler explanation to say that just some Kylie Jenner started it and then everyone started using it and then the government said, oh, you know what, that's a great way for us to collect images. Because like the NSA still, according to my research, hasn't denied that they collect images from social media. It's kind of just what they do, and
dude, of course they do.
Of course they do. Yeah, I mean it's public.
Dude, if the government wants to know information about you, they're gonna know it.
Yeah.
Like there's unless you go completely and totally off the grid, smash your computer with a hammer, cut up your credit cards. Build a lean-to in the woods.
The weird thing is the stuff that Snowden was showing us was that in some cases they could literally have a live feed of someone's like webcam.
Oh, I don't see why not.
Yeah, and it's like, what? What if I'm
Dude, come on, random kids are doing this in Zoom. You got the university email about Zoom bombing.
Yeah. So totally
one of
the
our
government
friends
can do it. So
got his Zoom bombed by a naked man.
Exactly.
Of course the government can do that if this random naked man can.
Yeah, so and that's just the really scary thing is that at any point the NSA worker can be like, I wonder what that Vince Tato is up to. Let me click on his live feed. Oh, he's there in his room. He looks like he's tuning his guitar. Oh man, he really hasn't learned to play that guitar yet, huh? And there's this sort
I'm
of
just getting judged by some NSA guy about my guitar skills.
Doesn't that sort of violate some of your inherent rights as a human to be spied upon, even if it doesn't hurt you, even if you're not doing anything that you were wanting to hide specifically? Isn't it sort of violating some of your rights to not be spied upon, to not be purely surveilled? I guess I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, it does. I would feel violated if I found out that like Edward Snowden was on the other end of my webcam, like looking at me and doing God knows what. But again, it goes back to the age-old argument that this country started was how much liberty are we willing to sacrifice in order for protection and safety?
I'm not willing to sacrifice that.
I mean, we got guys like, I think Thomas Hobbes talked about this, or John Adams, someone like that. And personally, I want to sacrifice as little freedom as possible for my own safety,
right? As
much as necessary. Again, I think you got to implicitly accept some things that go on. Like, I let Google. I agree to their cookie policy and all that stuff.
I use DuckDuckGo, by the way.
I know you're odd.
It works just as well.
So I that's a small example of something. I let Google put cookies in my computer.
Yes, there's a risk and a reward.
Google's a good search engine. The government takes your baby pictures and has a whole file about you for what? Because you might go off your rocker one day. And this reminds me of one of my favorite TV shows, the original
Keeping Up
Justice
with the
League animated.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
The Justice League animated series, not Justice League Unlimited, although that was a great show as well. There was this episode where they traveled to an alternate dimension, and it was the Justice Lords. Now, what had happened was they created a society in which nothing bad would ever happen. They ruled by fear and intimidation. As soon as one of the Justice Lord members showed up, everybody stopped fighting. Everybody was terrified of them. Fear and intimidation. That is an example of giving up all freedoms, all your liberties. There was even a scene where a guy didn't tip, or he didn't pay his restaurant bill, and he got taken away by the police.
Oh my.
Again, if you think that it's your explicit right to refuse to pay for your meal at a restaurant, you can do that. That's democracy 101, I guess. Not really, but in a certain part of it
Yeah.
is. So I'm not willing to live that life.
I think.
Although I don't want, if there's some creepy dude living next to me who's like building bombs and looking up, how to kill my neighbor, I think someone should be keeping tabs on that guy.
I have downloaded a few questionable ebooks in my time, just for the heck of it. And I think actually this all stuff that we're talking about is very interesting to me. But I think that we should save it for a whole episode where we sort of like not debate, but sort of give opposing sides of the view. Where I'm sort of from the anarchist point of view, that's like arguing, okay, the government has no right to do this. They're wrong. They're violent.
Can I be the Karl Marx point of view?
You can be the Karl Marx or even the John Locke sort of person that's sort of like taking this rational approach.
John Locke's boring. Everybody knows about him. I think Karl Marx gets a bad rap.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I think
he was pretty smart.
Karl Marx is actually very closely tied. His theories are very closely tied to that of anarchist theories.
But they definitely... The Marxists hated the anarchists, and the anarchists hated the Marxists in the early days. Well,
yes, there is anarchy is very similar. It's not total licentiousness. It's not total licentiousness. It's not total, free for all. Everyone's getting raped and murdered all the time. It's actually just people tearing down structure and authority, and living out human lives.
Right.
But
I think we should have a whole episode about that.
We'll actually make a part 2 to this that is interesting to us.
A legit part 2. I think we should do that.
A legit part 2 because I think this is more interesting.
All right. So
dinner is ready.
Yeah, man. I just got the word from the old quarantine chef that got a report to the mess hall in 2.0 minutes.
What's for dinner over there?
I have no idea actually, but I guess I'll find out. But what's a good way to wrap up this episode real quick? Let me play a transition-y song. How do I get back to the...
Did you play my requested song?
I'm playing the White Feathered Wings.
Wait for the first transition.
Oh no!
Okay.
Well, this episode was cut short because we started to kind of go off tangent into governmental theories. But I do have more to say about this and something to chew on. Did you ever grow up with Elf on the Shelf?
Yes, I didn't. I never had one, but I remember when they came out.
The theory behind that is that that's been invented. Well, that was invented actually in 2005, and it was the theory is that it is invented to normalize children to the idea of surveillance in the home. Because the elf is always in the home and is always watching you, and you have to make sure what you do. But you could say that about Santa also, because it's like, oh, he sees you when you're sleeping. All these conspiracy theories are to say. Don't believe every conspiracy theory, but look into the ones that interest you, like Vince's obsession with the Denver airport. I think that's healthy. It's just a fun thing. It's kind of interesting.
Healthy curiosity. Keep it alive,
and
everybody.
Be curious about what your government does, what's going on in social media, and I guess
exactly.
We can come.
I would say my message to our listeners is don't Occam's razor your imagination.
Yes. Keep your imagination fully uncut.
My final words are stay safe, everybody. Wash your hands. Charmin is not... Don't touch your face. Charmin is not responsible for the coronavirus, but they do make great toilet paper. And I am Vince Tato, and thank you for listening.
And I'm Shem Groby, and I'll see you next time.
Oh, Mother dear, please listen and don't devour me. Oh, Mother dear, please listen